Hi, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Hi, welcome to the channel, YouTube. So good to have you here. Wow, YouTube. Ooh, such high energy. It's not what I'm about, man. It's not what I'm about. I wish I was, but I'm too old. I'm too cynical. I'm not narcissistic enough. I'm not fucking, don't need the attention. Don't need the subscribers and all that. But I look at people who do that and I'm like, well done for having that much energy, man. So much dedication to your own channel. How you doing, YouTube? Good to see you, baby boy and girl, depending on what your genus is. I'm not even going to open that fucking can of worms. You know what I mean? So it's been a couple of weeks since my last confession. Haven't been on. I haven't been feeling too well lately. I don't know if it's a mixture of a summer cold, long COVID, or hay fever, but I've just been feeling a bit shitty lately. I've had a bad back, getting old, fucking abused my health on building sites and shitty manual labour jobs. And yeah, a bit sore around the back. I just thought, I've got stuff to do, today. But I was thinking, I wouldn't mind just a little drop in, just have a little chat with you all, see how you're all doing. I've just got stuff like this on the table, man. Do you know what I mean? Like lads like that. Do you know what I mean? He presses his legs down, he goes. Fair enough, maybe it's broken. Nice one. My son managed to break the fucking dinosaur. Well, got him that for Christmas. As my mother would say, they'd break iron. So I just got that kind of stuff knocking around behind the... I think maybe my daughter's broken the fucking computer. The power jack seems to be off balance. So if it's not one thing, it's another. It's a bit like myself. It's falling apart. How's everyone doing? What's the crack? Any crack in Iraq? No. So Liverpool took 2 big L's since the last time they won the FA Cup there. That was shy crack. Shy crack, man. I had Chris Perez staying over with me for a couple of weeks. Fair play to him. He's a good lad. He's an all-American good guy from Titletown in Boston. What other news? There's not an awful lot of news going on, really. Just trying to fucking find a new place to move into here in Stockholm, which is a bit of a fucking nightmare because it's a bit like Dublin with the scarcity of apartments and whatnot. Where is everyone in the chat? I'm not seeing anyone in the chat here. It's quasi concerning that I don't see any. I'll have to open up the old telephone and see if it's working on that. But hey, fucking Carl, how you Carl? Which Carl is this, man? Do I know you in real life? IRL job, fucking IRL, bit like the IRA, but a bit livelier. But good. So the chat's working. So we just got 13 silent partners. Carl Streitberger, a man on work listening. Oh, good stuff. Fucking listening, doing a bit of work area on this Friday morning. Oh, getting the old coins in. You need the coins, man. You need the coins. You know what I mean? I'm all up for the 4-day work week. I think we're at a stage in humanity now where people can do 4 days quite comfortably and not get too worried about it, to be honest with you. Jared O'Connor, morning. I didn't have the breakfast for the fear I wouldn't be able to drink the can. Alexis there for you. Fair play to Alexis. I can hear the call of the Sky Nutter. Oh no, it's a child crying outside. Must have fallen over or had a Barney with the parents. Carl Streiberg says, gardening to sponsor my trip to the dam in 2 weeks. And that's where your green fingers will really come in handy, hey. Really, really come in handy. Ruben, Parry, any big plans for the weekend? No, it's just me and the son this weekend. I've got my daughter's on holiday with the mother and myself and the son are having a bit of a bond up, so I'm taking him to swim school later on. So that, I tell you, the screeching has reached level 5. You know, there's when you have kids and they have like different levels of when crying turns into a full-blown shitstorm, and I can hear that it's going to level 5 now, and anything beyond level 5 is just a complete embarrassment. I see. How are you, Keith Witty? Waterford fella in London, hey. How's the weather over there, Witty? Yeah, Witty, fucking Witty, hey. I need to crack on and do these new episodes of Castletown Tales, which I've got 3 of them done. So today I haven't fucking exercised or gone to the gym lately, and you know when you get that unfit, you're like, oh, even a run seems like a daunting task. Good weather, not too bad. It's been all right here, hey. Oh, summer's in, fucking midsummer job. Oh ho ho here, hey. Oh ho ho here, hey. Who's ringing me now? Oh, 1 second. 1 second. Bear with me. No, I'm not fucking answering this. 1 second. Fuck that crack. Um, yes, but I don't know. Fucking, I usually don't start. Alan S said he crack. Martin, I'm always shitty work. I'm always at shitty work when you're live. Hope you're well. Ruben Perry says, windy as fuck here in Galway, man. Yeah, man, I really need to get back home. I have been feeling really homesick, and I've been dreaming about being home. I mean, it's been so long since I've been back in Ireland. It would be nice just to go back. I did a gig the other day. I did a music gig, and it was just for a whole bunch of Norwegian lads who were working for Volvo. And I was just like, no one gave a fuck. And I remember like to the stage where I was like, fine, I'm just gonna play whatever tunes I like and entertain myself. And at one stage I went, yeah, thanks everybody. I'm just hold on a sec. I'm just going for a fucking piss and just left in the middle of a set and came back. And then it got a bit lively later on, but yeah, corporate gigs, man, they suck balls. Fuck 'em. Brian, heading to the brother's wedding should be a few good. Oh, congratulations to the brother. Tell him the fucking big man sent his best wishes. Um, more peeps hit the like button. Oh, do man, hit the button there, the button, or the like button. What you just want to talk about? Give us something in the chat because I never come on here with pre-written. I like to be off the cuff. It takes about a good 10 minutes to warm up and get into the power zone. But I do want to keep it more light-hearted today. You know what I mean? I usually drift into the chat of shadowy bad boys around the world making the balls of our lives. Listen from Calgary, Canada. Just got back from visit to Ireland today. Jet lagged to fuck is an understatement, says Mark Smith. Calgary, what's the weather benching there now? Is she getting warm? Is she, Mark? Yeah, Calgary. I mean, I'm not gonna go into what I think of the Prime Minister of Canada and his cabinet because they're all a bunch of trolls. That's what they are. El Cid gives your thoughts on Top Gun 2. Haven't seen it, but from what I saw something come up on Twitter the other day on Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair. And they were saying that it was anti woke, and some people were hailing it as a testosterone driven triumph of celebration in American empire or something like this. And I was like, well, I haven't watched Top Gun 1 since I was a kid, maybe. Um, but you know what? I haven't. If it pisses off the right people, then I'm all for it, man. Do you know what I mean? So fair play to Tomoshine Cruz. Met him once in I think it was like 2015, 16. Oh no, it's 2014, I think. Nice fella. That's about it, really. T-Cal, how you doing? Are you any relation to Decal, as in the stickers that they put on the side of boy racer cars? Mitch, you looking well, Maloney? Shankly had you on the stakes. Oh ho ho, fucking Longshanks is after you from Braveheart 1. They didn't make a sequel called Braveheart 2 because he died. And then, like, they won. But I guess Rob Roy was some sort of a sequel to that, like, fucking Leamy Neeson, man. Some man leashing. Some man leashing. Leamy Neeson from Leashing Street in Dublin, eh? Yeah, what else? Yeah, a bit of the old Champions League and the Premiership with Liverpool, bit fucking sick now, but sure, it would it have changed my life? It's a vicarious achievement through the lives of people who are being paid regardless to play the match. Cynical way of looking at it, but when you're caught up in the passion of spectating the sport, it is one of those things that you do get kind of your interest and support is invested in it. But yeah, I seen Virgil on the way back on the bus there to Liverpool, just like this. You could see the passion of the session was beaten out of them. But hey, fuckers, what are you gonna do? Mark Smith, it's fairly toasty here now in the summer. It was 24 degrees when we landed, and yes, Trudeau is a plank. There's lads driving around here with "fuck Trudeau" stickers on their car. Good lads, I'd say. See, the thing is with Canada, like, and the States, like the country is propped up by the very people that these metropolitan snobs who get fat off the or they get rich off the fat of the land, and the fat of the land being the labor of those people that they have such um contempt for, the people in the country that they all would call rednecks and fucking troglodytes, but these people are the ones who supply them with food produce and their oil and gas and whatnot. And they're the lads who would get pretty besviken, as they'd say here in Sweden. They're disappointed to see that the ruling class are just a bunch of fucking kleptocrats. Wankers, 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 wankers. I'm trying to think of what other news I got, man. What other news? Not a lot, really. Not a lot going on. Just fucking not a lot. I'm trying to think of any cultural stuff. There was I seen a lot of people are talking about this "What Is a Woman" documentary by Matt Walsh. Haven't seen that, but I was in comment sections where it was saying stuff like, "This man he's a hero." And I was just thinking, what a fucking bizarre time we live in when a man is a hero for basically asking the simple question that you know you go, yes, that is a woman there. She is has different chromosomes to a man. Is it X chromosomes? Can't remember. I wasn't listening to that chromosomes and biology, but yeah, I don't even know why it's such a fucking big deal. Just to point out the obvious, but I did see a funny clip of him asking a gender studies professor, the simple question. He's like, well, I think why? Why are you asking this question? I mean, why is it important for you to know this question? I mean, there is sex, which is what you're born with, and then there's gender. And the two of them are very linked, but at the same time, very, very different. Um, but it's like, I mean, you just, this is how this is what happens when you have very prosperous multi-generational prosperity that starts basically going into and also you've seen this with civilizations such as ancient Greece or Rome. Off the top of my head, the two prime examples of civilizations that have kind of like devolved where people got it too handy and then just started resorting into kind of hedonism and just being on the piss and shagging all the time, and it kind of just when you expect it, you take it for granted. A well-oiled, functioning society is going to be there, and then eventually, when people just stop turning up for work or just go, "Ah, fuck this, I'm not going to do it, can't be asked anymore," then everything starts breaking down. So, with that in mind, you have that, which is a traditional breakdown society, but also uh, technology and automation has kind of taken away jobs that would have been there for everybody, and so like you have Uncle Klaus, the World Economic Forum, saying there are a lot 4 billion useless eaters in the world, and it's like, well, yeah, if you stop fucking basically sacking people and building robots that do their job. So I mean, the way you hear people like George Soros and all, like the World Economic Forum acolytes saying about this is great, good for the economy. The economy doesn't mean your economy or my economy; it's their economy. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like it's like if you talk about mass immigration, for example, there are certain types of people who automatically jump to the knee jerk reaction of saying it's a racial thing, where it's like you can't criticize the fact that it's like, imagine you're on a boat and then you just like say to like another fucking shitload of lads, yeah, come and stay on the boat with us, but there's not enough food or water on the boat, then you're gonna have problems, and it doesn't matter what what the fucking crack is. It's just like it's a numbers game. But what I'm kind of thinking is maybe that when this is happening, they're looking for more people they're looking for more debt slaves. Basically, they're harvesting people, and I think the sponge of Western nations, like the amount of debt that we have to pay off, I think we're already so debt laden that they need more people to just get into debt to feed their fucking lavish lifestyle. So fucked a lot of them. They don't care about men, women, black, white, Asian, South American, Arabic. They don't give a fuck. They don't care what religion you are. They just want your money, and your time is money. And fucking, I don't know, stakeholder capitalism. Yeah, and they say it. We are all stakeholders, and we are building the future. So you had two moody events. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but it always goes back to it. I'm sorry. Fucking sorry, boys. No, it's just also, yeah, you have the Bilderberg meeting that was on last week. So whatever your name is, get ready for the big surprise, because there's always some sort of weird shit happens mid to late June after all the ghouls have met at Bilderberg. And yeah, then you have the World Economic Forum. So it's yeah, not good. I've been Martin Allen, big up Martin. Oh yeah, LNS, the World WHO Pandemic Treaty. So basically, yeah, that just, I mean, yeah, these their own World Economic Forum fucking globalist fools have just written sovereignty off and given it to Bill Gates's mob. So that's going to be fun in the future. Who do you think Liverpool need to buy? Don't know, man. Don't fucking know. Just train up good lads from the youth academy, like Alex Ferguson did. CM Fox, how you doing, mate? Elite theory: elites are an organized minority, and the masses are an unorganized majority. Absolutely, I think like, to be fair, Uncle Klaus, he has, he's made a plan. He's been working on the plan. It's a fucking batshit crazy plan that doesn't really do the rest of us any good. But he is a man with a plan at the end of the day. And I mean, like, I don't know, man. I mean, it's I only seem to be one guy at the moment with a an opinion. But I mean, I don't really like, where I'm barely getting my own fucking life together. Never mind the plight of billions. Mark Smith, I couldn't believe the price of petrol in Ireland when I went back. It's only going to go up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is just fucking orchestrated to be this way, which is it's just, man, it just gets tiresome when you're just at the shitty end of the stick when it comes to just being constantly ripped off. And it's energy and time harvesting. And I don't know. I think that they're trying to do away with the combustion engine as well in many ways. And if you think about being, they're talking about changing infrastructure so everyone is like off the grid. Um, everyone's on the grid. Sorry, it just means like they can just switch off. If you got a car, switch the grid off, or the access to electricity. Everything. I mean, I don't know. I'm getting into, like, like the fact that, if you talk about the prohibition of alcohol back in the day, it wasn't about the morality of people drinking alcohol. It was about the fact that people were able to use ethanol and, use whatever decaying vegetation to make their own fuel. So, yeah, it's about self-sufficiency and taking that away from the small guy to make them dependent. So it just means an infinite income for them, like the Federal Reserve in the States. Like the fact that the reserve currency was the dollar, and everything in commerce on the international market was done through dollars, is the reason why America was number one for so long. And now the order has changed with the gold backed yen, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Chinese currency. I know, man. I think America's day of being the top dog has kind of come to an end. There was a big US aircraft carrier that came to Stockholm here last week, which was like a city, a floating city. It was huge. It was about 1,000 feet long. And I think they were here to do some sort of joint NATO exercise with Lithuania and the Baltic states and Sweden. So I don't know what's going on, man, but I think, like, I talk to a lot of Swedes over here, and I'm like, what do you think about Sweden giving up its neutrality and joining NATO? And they're like, oh, it's a good thing. I'm like, well, do you really think that Russia is just going to fucking bomb Sweden. And I think like that Sweden, like Ireland, like I said, all their leaders are all fucking World Economic Forum young leaders. So I wouldn't be surprised if these nutters just want to orchestrate another war, get everyone into it, or just if I don't know. It's a bit conspiratorial, but nothing would surprise me these days. January 6th! Sorry, Sean B. Back when you needed to go to a doctor and get whiskey on prescription in the US. Well, sometimes it does help if someone's a bit shook or if someone's just fainted, give them a drop of brandy. Or it's like if 1 second. Um, yeah, it's like hot port. If you're feeling a bit rough, port, brandy and port, a bit of water, or a bit of hot water, hot whiskey. It's my dad's fucking tonic for everything. But the price of petrol, man, yeah, it's going up, and I don't know why the states just doesn't. Well, I do. They're just trying to fuck everything up, but it seems like people are starting to like jump off the Ukrainian support bandwagon. That was another pointless war that should never have happened. But that's it's not even a controversial opinion; it's an informed opinion. But I've noticed there's a lot of people who had the bios have kind of like started like slowly removing them, and all the fucking theatrical nonsense that was coming out of Ukraine, such as like there was an old woman who met a young Russian soldier, and they said, "Make sure you carry a pocket full of sunflower seeds, so when you die in battle, your dead body shall decompose, and the nitrogen in the humus contained therein will blossom and germinate the seeds, and you will grow sunflowers." Like, who wrote that, man? Do you know what I mean? It's fucking absolute bollocks. Like, I mean, all these people who were supposed to be fucking like, um, you know, so these supposed like hippies who are ushering in the bloodshed of young men, Ukrainian men and Russian men, and it's fucking idiots, man. Like a lot of these people, they're secretly into like depressing shit. It's like I'd like to just live in a fucking world where there's plenty and everyone's nice and chilled with each other. Of course, you're always gonna have knobheads, like, but that's just the way it is. Things is never gonna be the same. Whoa, yeah. But what I might do is I might do a live stream later on because just I was a bit unprepared with this one. But maybe I might do a live stream later on this evening, depending on how the can is after the day that's in it. I'm gonna go and make an attempt at writing another fresh episode. I really want to get the other episode of the Hardy book out as well because it's been a while since doing that. Yeah, that's about it, really. That's about it. But I hope you're all doing well. I hope you enjoy your Friday. And seize the day, man. Seize the day. And if you're at work, get a nice bit of Dawson in, man. Get a nice bit of Dawson in at work. But that's about it. Chris J, how you doing, Papa? Any crack? But yeah, that's it really for now. I'll try and get on later on to even get a couple of guests on for a bit of a Friday night chat later on. And if I don't manage to do it, don't hold it against me, man. Don't hold it against me. Dylan Edwards, been to Australia, Martin. Yeah, I was there in 2013. Quite enjoyed it. Seen a lot of potential for gigs down there. As I said before, I was in the Cock and Bull in Bondi, and it was like going to a church of Irish pop culture. There was there's a certain time where they have a big carvery full of like weeks old like ham and steak in a bed of like petrified potato chips, and then they just like wheel it out because there's some by law they need to have some sort of like food dispensary unit according to Australian law. Then after a while, I help them carry this thing back into the shadows, and then the pool table gets like a wooden lid put onto it, and then people are dancing on that to Maniac 2000. But it really was a kind of a strange homesickness. It was like walking into Coppers. Everyone was wearing like GA jerseys, but I got a good vibe there though. Like I did quite like Sydney. Melbourne was pretty cool. I went to a place called Dabo, which was like I suppose like the Longford of Australia. It's like the country and western capital of Australia as well. But where are you based, Dylan? Kirkborough. Would love to see the books down here in Australia. Don't go to the carveries down here, lad. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, because I was looking at it, I was like, how is this edible? And they're like, ah, no one eats it, man. Absolutely nobody eats it. So I think they just leave the carvery food. That'd be the kind of thing that myself and Pete Cassidy would be like, oh, should we get a bit of carved turkey there? And I'd be like, this is fucking disgusting. But I need to get back to Ireland before I get down to Australia. Need to do that first. But it would be nice. Be nice to go down there. Melbourne. Oh yeah, St Kilda's, is it, Dylan? What time is it there now? Is it evening time? What is it? What's the time in Australia now? Get up to Queensland. Gotta go to Gold Coast, mate. Gold Coast. It's funny if you go to Surfers Paradise in the Gold Coast. There's always like street performers getting punched by bogans. There's like lads with like they've got suits that are all sprayed in silver paint, and they're all like doing this shit. And next thing, some lad in a singlet, fucking singlet and shorts, comes along with a fucking stabby and goes, "Oi, mate!" Fucking king punch. And at 6 p.m. there, mad, isn't it? Like I'm talking to boys down in Melbourne from Sweden, and it's nearly 20 past 10 here. So yeah, that's the technology for you. It's not all bad. Like it's not all fucking bad. But I do enjoy the crack with y'all on the computers, that not and that type of thing. Sounds like you never hit Perth on your trip. 4 p.m. Jeez, 4 p.m. in Perth, man. Yeah, Perth seems like a cool spot. I remember seeing one of these travel shows when I was a kid, and just like lads knocking about surfing all day. But in some ways, I prefer the west coast of anywhere because you get your sunset in the evenings. That was a strange thing when I was in Coogee Bay in Australia, and I was like looking at lads swimming, but with the like waves coming in. Because for me, like growing up in Liverpool and in the west of Ireland, you'd have your swell coming in from the Atlantic, so your waves would be crashing in. Like it's a beautiful thing from a surfer's point of view when the sun's going down and the waves are coming in at the same time. Whereas like I suppose it's like if you go surfing in the morning, it's like how it is in the evening in Australia. I mean, very deep observational conversation here, but that's how it fucking goes. I'd love to get back to Ireland though as well, and just do some surfing, hang out with the boys, man. Fair play to Tommy the Boo Kilgallen. He's a great man for keeping in touch. I find like I'm a bit shit for keeping in touch with people lately. Like over the past year, man, I like just got a bit sick of fucking responding to people on not it was anything personal, but it's just like just felt like I was obliged to get back to everyone all the time. And apologies to anyone on the Discord group for me being a bit slack. It's just like you've got WhatsApp, Twitter, Messenger, Instagram, Discord. There's a lot. I just kind of got a bit burnt out from it, to be honest with you, and I just needed to take a bit of a break from it all. Especially since I had the kids half time. And that's the other thing. Like when you, I mean, like I don't know if for any of you guys out there, like being divorced fucking sucks, man. There's no two ways about it. It's just like you you have your time off, but your time off is kind of spent catching up, and I just don't have the freedom of travel that I once did. So it's kind of difficult to get back. And on top of that, like the fucking corona shit, like it made me in some ways maybe a bit apprehensive about traveling just because it's a bit of a fucking hassle. But hopefully now things are opening up. I wouldn't mind like I've just got to get a new gaff sorted out here and get settled, and then get back to Ireland and do some gigs, man. I really miss doing gigs and just going back home just to remind myself of who it is I actually am. Do you know what I mean? Just like the nice thing about being back in the UK or Ireland is like you just have nice chats with randomers. You'd be outside in Yachtons and Galway, and then lads just sidle up and like, oh, how's it going, man? How's it going? And then you just have a good buzz with people that you meet. Lord Skidmarks, how you doing, sunshine? Okay, okay. I'll admit, I didn't take the poison. Yes, sure didn't. So what can you do? So what can you do? Yeah. Again, even Billy Boy Gates has come out saying, "Well, it didn't really make much of a difference in the end, and it was a cold like that affected the very elderly." Yeah, they shut the whole fucking world down. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're in a time where if the media decide to all in unison go with a story, people believe it automatically, and therefore, if something isn't even real, it is believed. I always think about that episode of The Simpsons when Lisa Simpson, featuring Donald Sutherland as the curator of the Jebediah Springfield Museum, is like, Lisa, please do not tell them the truth. With that episode where they talk about embiggened and how Jebediah Springfield was actually a bit of a prick. But if she revealed the truth about Jebediah Springfield being a prick, it would have devastated the morale of the town. Well, that's a bit like how it is with like global events and how people perceive that. I mean, I don't even know how many of these global events are real anymore. Do you know what I mean? And don't you talk to random Swedes on the trams? Yeah, like one thing I have noticed like about Sweden, obviously, like the Swedes are excellent at speaking English, but there's a lot they don't get. Um, that we would at home that we just take for granted. And when I noticed a big difference in when I started speaking to people in Swedish. They're a lot more open. Like there's the Swedes they're generally they're a sound bunch. You know what I mean? I haven't really got. I can't remember where it was the other day, but I was just having a conversation with someone, and they just said to me, "They're a fucking funny old bunch." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, they are," but they're nice people, man. You know what I mean? They're overall like sound enough people, but they kind of they're very reserved. And in comparison to Ireland, where people are very outgoing and friendly, and they're able to maintain a conversation without it getting awkward. Hats off, the gift of the gab. It's the land of the gab. It's where the gab came from, man. Kurt Burra, do you need the jabbing to go to Ireland or UK? No, you don't. You do not, which is good. But you do need it for the States, Canada, and Australia, I think. Um, I mean, obviously that the anybody who said anything negative, or not negative, anything who said anything realistic about the effects of said procedure, or the illness that was going around, was automatically fucking censored and harangued and fucking mobbed upon by those people who just trust the science. Well, as Serge Tankian from System of a Down would say, science has failed our world. Science has failed our Mother Earth. I really do think that, there's certain things that humanity would have been better off, leaving alone. But science, yeah, it's made some great achievements and innovations and the improvement of quality of life. But also, I think it's becoming a very, like, everything is now being broken down into algorithms and probability, and with like computer modeling. Like if I look, I would like to think of myself as being a pretty unique individual with the genetically, with my family background, with my sense of humor, with the way I think. But according to certain data models, they can predict how common a personality type like mine actually is, and reduce me to a statistic. So I kind of feel like with the way technology is going, with computer modeling and algorithms, they're basically making everything really predictable and boring. Whereas when I was kind of growing up, everything had a nice air of mystery to it. um so I think, yeah, science. But that's about it on that hypothesis. CJH93, well, horse, how's the ponies? The ponies are all right, man. They're just chilling like villains on penicillin. Alan S, you'll have a good crowd of soundskins when you head back to Era, Martin. Yeah, I really I should I've got two choices. I can either get onto my promoter and just I've got three choices. I can get on to Stevie Kelly and the Cowboy and just be like, all right, I'll jump in and do a few gigs with you. I could do a few of my own gigs. I could either book that myself or get a promoter to book that for me. But I just need to block it out, man. I just feel very fucking I feel like I'm a bit burnt out lately, to be honest with you. Just feel kind of like yeah, the motivation isn't really there. It feels like I'm a bit. I feel like a bit like Bilbo Baggins when he's like, "I feel like bread smeared too much Nutella on it, or not enough Nutella." What I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but getting out. Oh, Doctor David, do you want to swap FIFA '96 for Toe Jam and Earl? Toe Jam and Earl, lovely stuff. What about Cool Spot for the Mega Drive? I always mistook them for the M&M men. The mascots of M&M. Chocolate that melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Good to see you, Dr. David. Thank you for joining the live stream. Good to hear from you. Good to hear from you. Up with the partridge on this Friday morning. Yes. In the chat, right? I was thinking about this the other day. What's your favorite? The Office, Alan Partridge, or Peep Show? Stick your response in there. Fantastic, Partridge. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Oh, the man with a child in his eyes. Just gonna slip into Kate's bush. I mean, slip on a bit of Kate Bush. What classic comedy would you have loved to have been part in apart from Hardy Books? Peep Show, definitely. The Office would have been great. Actually, any of them really. Like Partridge. It's overwhelmingly Partridge so far. Brass Eye. That's fucking solid. Tough call between Partridge and Peep Show, says LNS. Bottom. You know what? Carl, the cock piss partridge. It was actually where cock was written is now cook, and where piss is pass, and we changed partridge to Babtridge, so it says cook pass Babtridge. Day versus Brass Eye. I would say probably Brass Eye because I was a bit more. I was a bit older. This is bollocks. This is bollocks, Mark, and you know the credo: illness equals weakness. Johnson, no, you're off the team. Mark, are those pooing sounds you're making? Yes, Johnson. Oh, if you love Johnson so much, why don't you bloody marry him? Yeah, I wouldn't mind. But yeah, when I was in school as a kid, bottom was it was one of the, like the Hammersmith Hard Men. It was a very funny and irreverent show that like it goes to show like look back over even things like Hale and Pace that was ITV comedy, but there was some very funny bits in that as well. Um, so that's not normal pooing you're doing, Super Bikey Mikey. But it just goes to show everyone had a fucking unified sense of humor, but now everything has just been fucking everything causes offense, and I do feel like people are just now sick of all this worrying about being fucking cancelled. And I think now I can see it on social media. People are starting to go, I don't care anymore. Fuck off. Why are we even giving powers to? Why are we giving our power of autonomy over to people who just need to, fucking chill? There's a lot of people who are on these fucking SSRAs, these bloody or SSRIs, these like fucking Prozac or antidepressants. And they're just dishing them out like sweets to people. And I think a lot of folks that we're looking at in society, they're not even thinking straight because they're all being given fucking pharmaceutical drugs and it's wrecking their cognitive abilities. Bottom was great, proper 90s humor. Carl Strayberger, when my son turned 10, I introduced him to Bottom and the laughs coming from his room. I had a top dad moment. Good on you, Carl. That's a nice touch, that is. That's a very nice touch. Danny Dyer's Living Dangerously. Stephen French, oh man, Dr. David. That's a lovely motor. The 730, it's a workhorse. In my mind, in my soul, in my kokoro, I wanted to reach out and attack and wreak havoc. you're running around there, right, skulking about, writing things on the wall about me. And you can just see the bitterness and the jealousy oozing out of you. Frenchie is a grass. I love the capital G in that if you watch it. Sensi Ronnie Corwell. Yeah, I was doing, I was 6'3" of prime black male, and it just cuts to some woman in the audience going like this. Larry Anthony, how many of you played the role of Shady Ganley? There was 3 of us, but I played most of the big roles. LGX, rattling the cage, man, rattling the cage. Kurt Burrow, I've never been able to find watchable Republic of Telly as someone outside Ireland looked like absolute gas. I've never been able to find watchable Republic of Telly as someone. Yeah, it was a kind of I was a lot of missed opportunities there. I think if they'd actually fucking had me in there, but I think certain elements didn't want me in there because I might have overshadowed them, and they would have been like, Maloney man, fucking Maloney man, cool, class, huh? Maloney, cool. Yeah, like Maloney, fuck some boy, man. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a moment there. But yeah, drinking some fucking orange juice with a bit of grapefruit in it. That'll blow away the cobwebs. Too good for me, lad. That's fucking right, Kurt. Fucking right. But yeah, I think if you look at it, there's BlackRock and all these fucking massive holding companies. These are the ones who are dictating the policy of companies and quotas and targets, because they're basically they're sneaky cunts, because what they're doing is they send out a centralized, because basically these companies are like the stakeholder. They own majority shares in these big corporations. They're all kind of singing off the same hymn sheet. So you're like human resources, your HR department are kind of told what to look out for in people, and a person like me has no place in any company that is centralized. Fucking this woke nonsense that we're dealing with isn't an organic movement. It's coming from the top down. And what it does, it weeds out any dissent or anybody who will speak up against the fact that everything is now owned by a certain few corporations. So yeah, you got lads like me. I'd rather be fucking out there on my own, to be honest with you. I'll be all right, man. I'll always be all right. I tell him about Nestle and the boys. Yeah, I remember years ago looking at that guy Peter Brabeck, who was like, he's just a man sitting alone in an office, and he's looking at like he's saying, "Oh, the Japanese, they are great companies. Their manufacturing is fantastic. The robots, you never get any trouble from robots." And then he's talking about wanting to privatize all of the fresh water in the world. It's the same shit as fucking Cohagen in Total Recall. You know what I mean? He's like, you've got to give these people air. And then he just like cuts out, he just stops the air. That means like there was like a little valve handle, like in Resident Evil 2, when the chopper is on fire and then you have to find the valve handle. It goes. That's what he did. That's what Cohagen got one of his henchmen to do there in Total Recall, when they cut the air supply off to the mutant sector. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger as Quaid was like, we have to give these people air. He's a real fucking disappointment, isn't he, Arnold Schwarzenegger, man? He's just turned into an absolute fucking spoff monocle. I always thought Arnie was for the little guy, but he's actually, he's just a fucking, he's just a mouthpiece for the establishment. Total Recall, what a film. Yes, it was directed by Paul Verhoeven. And if you look at the behind the scenes of when you listen to the audio commentary, when the TriStar Pegasus runs towards the camera, it's like, "Hi, this is me, Arnold Schwarzenegger, running toward the camera." And it's like, "Yes, this is me, director Paul Verhoeven. We're here to talk about the scene. Yes, this was a good scene. Yeah, so me, Arnold, and Sharon, we went down to the hotel room in Mexico to practice this scene. That was a great scene. Arnie allowed California to go blue, and it's at the point of no return. Yeah, it's California, oh, washed up piece of plastic surgery now. Says Kurt Bora. Yeah, I mean, like fucking California, man. That used to be one of the richest parts of the world. If you look at footage of California in like the from like the 60s to like the 90s, and you look at the state of it now, man, it's been hollowed out by just corporate crime. And that's the same with the Roman Empire. Like, well, it was just like it just went into disrepair because eventually, there was so little resources for the general population. Um, so little for the resources of the population that they just ended up, um, you know, basically, if you take away resources from the municipality, and people are going to have harder lives. They're not going to be able to flourish as much, and that's what happened with Rome. People are just like, "Fuck this, man! I'm not going to fix that aqueduct today," and that things, or I'm not going to fix the roads. And then someone else would be like, "Well, I need some of those cobbles that are on the roads to fix up my back garden wall," and then just like nicking. It just becomes demoralized over a while. And I think California's definitely turned into that. Larry Anthony. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it was aliens. I felt like us normals indirectly got a win over the woke crowd last week when Johnny D got 15 million into the claw. Yeah, I saw something for the independent.ie. Ellis O'Hanlon was like, the Amber Heard Depp trial was proof of money buys you anything. And I just wrote like Ellis must have shit the bed. Like, how is that? Like, it's just the way like, there are certain people out there who like to consider women as being a minority. You know what I mean? Like, women, like men, are capable of greatness and absolute horror. Like, human beings, like, they're fucking complex creatures, and a lot of them are very faulty and have bad intentions. um, Whether that's through early childhood trauma or fucking genetics, or a combination. They say that the perfect storm for a psychopath is early childhood trauma, the warrior gene that is inherited, and growing up in an environment that, basically, oh, and injuries as well. So some of them get head injuries and it fucks them up. But like, I think we are basically, as a global society, we put the worst, most ambitious sociopathic psychopaths, and narcissistic sociopathical tendencies on a pedestal. And you got the likes of like VH1, The Fabulous Life of, or MTV Cribs, or we worship materialism. Or we don't, but like, we're trained to worship and aspire to, like, Missy Elliott's got a fucking hollowed out Ferrari with a fish tank as a bed, and it's like, great, but like, at the end of the day, you just need a fucking bed to sleep in. Like, it's just fucking stuff, man. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're all like conditioned to worship stuff and worship the people who have managed to obtain the most stuff, and then that, for some reason, their um their lack of humility is seen as a strength. Whereas people, like, you often see it like, the people who are decent are kind of like, they, a lot of the time, it can be their decency or their kindness is misconstrued as weakness. Um, so fucked a lot of them. That's what I say. Um, Let me see. RB, California is still the top five biggest economies in the world. Yeah, and it will be, thanks to Silicon Valley and a lot of industry. But like, they're, for the people there, it's like things are going down the tubes. How 1991 ran into French toast at a Brazilian jiu-jitsu competition. Sound lad. I heard he won. Fair play to him. Mikey Higgins, good to see you, lad. How are you getting on? Dr. David. When Stephen French whispered into Danny Dyer's ear, leaving him terrified, turns out he was predicting EastEnders' future storylines. Danny would have to. Super Felch, Dirty Den. RB, how you doing? Martin, I've sort of a funny story for you. A few months ago, I joined the Viper Discord thinking the man himself would be in on it, but he wasn't. Then I scrolled down to the messages and saw myself and you. What was that about, man? What was that about? Tell me more. Johnny Gilling, The Guardian said it was an orgy of misogyny. Oh, God. Imagine in this day and age buying a copy of The Guardian and expecting to have a objective, non-biased source of information at your disposal. I mean, I never liked it, man. I remember Tordoff used to always get The Guardian. I was like, and then Charlie Brooker used to write in it, and you used to get people like Armando Iannucci and Chris Morris used to do certain things in The Guardian. But I always found it like condescending, but now it's just, man, it's fucking, it's just it's null and void. If for anybody who actually wants to find out the truth and reality of the world we live in, because that's the I'm not obsessed with the truth, but without the truth, you can't. Okay, engineering is true. It's like if you want to build a bridge, then it has to be precise. It has to be true. Otherwise, it's going to fucking crumble and people are going to die and money has been wasted. So engineering, chemistry, bakery, carpentry, these things are basically essential to success. And the thing is with maths and mathematics, and this is probably why I was never really that good at mathematics, because I always quite liked the subjectivity of being a creative. Whereas mathematics and engineering and science is unarguably precise. And when you have the likes of The Guardian and BuzzFeed and nonsensical fucking publications like this, you're basically feeding a whole load of fucking lies and nonsense into society that will collapse, man. We're seeing all of this fucking pseudoscience unravel, and it will collapse. And when it does, you're going to have a lot of fallout from, we're going to have to take care of these people who have basically thrown their lives away because of some fucking bullshit that some tweed fool who's being paid ridiculous amounts of money for talking shite at university, or people on Tumblr have, basically, it's good to be open-minded, but don't have your mind so open that your brain falls out. That's all I'm going to say about that one. The Guardian said it was an orgy of misogyny, says Johnny Gilling. Alan S. Kakistocracy, that was earlier on, I think. RB, being bad-mouthed, friendly white lad. Being bad-mouthed, I mean, so who will we bad-mouthing? Like, you know what I mean? It's the weird kind of like the fan base of cult of personality of the stream itself. Not my stream, of course. Dr. David, Amber Heard was rumoredly unpleasant to staff in Carpetright in Nace when it took them over 10 minutes to find a sample of faded charcoal. I can imagine she was, and I'd say she probably said that she would be buying the place and then closing it and selling the assets, so these people would left redundant. But on that bombshell, we did 53 minutes. I wasn't expecting that. I was only going to do a quick one, and we got rolling in the end. Do you know what I'll do? I'll give the other 7 minutes, and then we'll call it an hour. Okay, we will do this. We will do this. So anyone else in the chat, hit me up with something that I can discuss for the next 7 minutes. Don't be ripping. Pete, please subscribe to Pete there, NBR. He's a good lad. Fucking Limerick lad. Great stream. Listen whilst driving. Man, Peter. Fucking Peter, hey. Doing a bit of driving around fucking the towns and that, is it? Come on, hit me up with some fucking questions, lads. Questions. I know you're there, like, it's 25, you're there, like, you got 6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6 fucking minutes. Any word on crypto? All right, I'll fucking talk about crypto then. That I think maybe the likes of hedge fund bankers are probably buying crypto, pumping it and dumping it to try and ruin it. But that's just what I mean. Of course, they can do this. It's not like they're going to say, "Oh, everyone's getting rich from decentralized cryptocurrencies, and let's just not be part of that." Of course, they know it. It could all be a fucking scam from the beginning. I don't know. I don't know. Dr. David, if I came at you now, would you beat me off? A reference to Tim and Gareth and Dawn from The Office. CM Fox, those two Brits sentenced to death in the Donbass court. Interesting. I guess you saw that update on I Earl Grey on the YouTube channel. Wouldn't be surprised, CM Fox. Wouldn't be surprised. Well, I saw a video there which was quite shocking of a guy in the Donbass Republic who was taken prisoner by Ukrainian forces, and they'd stamped his head in, and he'd basically fractured his skull on the back and had to get a lot of staples and surgery on the back of his head. And they were interviewing this guy who was told to go in by a Marine of the 36th Regiment and stab the prisoner. So he stabbed him 6 times, and then the medical staff took the prisoner out, pronounced him dead. But miraculously, he survived, and then he was then reunited with the guy who stabbed him and left him dead. Fuck! It was an awkward. I mean, you're just looking at this guy going, "Please, is God is my witness? Will He forgive me?" And then the guy's just like, he looks a bit like Fedor, the Russian MMA guy, and he's just, he's been bandaged up, and he's like, God will judge you. And then your man just hangs his head in like utter shame. And CM Fox said, "Fuck's sake, I saw that weasel begging for forgiveness." Like, apparently, 200,000, according to an American general, 200,000 Ukrainian soldiers have just disappeared. I mean, the whole thing was, I mean, it's like England and Ireland. Obviously they've had their beef in the past, but like it's like now all of a sudden, um, if you look at it, it's like, imagine. Okay, we'll use another example. It's like America and Canada going to war, right? And America was like Russia, and Canada was being, let's say China was funding Canada, and some oligarchs in Canada and China were making money off exploiting the Canadian people. And then there was a separatist area, let's say in Nova Scotia, that were basically being ethnically cleansed by the Canadians, and then Russia goes in, and then the USA goes in after a lot of meddling from China, let's say, and then the entire world media and corporations and financial and cultural organizations and military powers going in against America for basically defending people who identify as being look, I mean, it's a very complex situation, but ultimately, if you want to break it down, it was driven by the US State Department, um the likes of fucking Hunter Biden and Mitt Romney's son and John Kerry's son, and God knows who else, just fucking stealing money and resources from the Ukrainian people. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in Ukraine that never wanted to go to war with Russia. They never wanted this. And now their fucking infrastructure is fucked, while you've got the cokehead in chief, who is a fucking actor, put into a series that has basically been vaulted to the point of being the prime minister or the president of Ukraine. And, there's no opposition media. There's no opposition parties. Like, it's fucking, man. The media, the Western media, is the enemy of the people. It's a fucking simple fact. RB Martin, is it true that Sweden is now one of the most dangerous countries in Europe due to the influx of mostly young male migrants? Like, I hear a lot of stuff online saying that Sweden is, this dangerous hellhole. There has been some mad shit that's happened, and I, you can observe there is there's definitely been a change of in it. There's been a change of behavior over the last few years. This is just what I see observationally. Um, but it's still, for most part, a very well organized, nice place to live. And I had a conversation the other day, and I was saying, well, it's it's not as bad as people make out. It's like I can empathize with people that come to the likes of Sweden for a better life from places like the Middle East. I completely get it, but I also get the reality of the situation. Is I'm a man from Ireland who is educated and whatnot, but I've never had an easy time of it here in Sweden. It's like, so I can only imagine if you're from, like, yeah, there's work there, but I can understand how people would become disillusioned and resentful when you're never going to get out of the situation that you're in because the game is fucking rigged. And it's over here, it ultimately comes down to who you know, and there's a lot of old money here in Sweden. And when you see like 22-year-olds driving around in brand new Ferraris, and then you're working your fucking bollocks off and you're just going round and round to pay your bills, I can understand why people would be very frustrated. But to answer your question, there's parts of Sweden which they are like enclaves, but it's much like when Irish people stick to their own, people just stick to their own culture. And yeah, I can understand the frustration of many of these people who come here, because they get here and then they realize that there isn't, like Sweden as well. It's the manufacturing has gone. They've outsourced most of their manufacturing overseas to the Far East. So it's like now it is basically an IT service or a startup nation that does a lot in technology. And in order to get those jobs, you need to go to university or college for 3 or 4 years, and then while you're doing that, you need to support yourself. So it's a tough road there. But then you have some people who come from money, and it's easy. They just go to college. They're supported by the parents. The parents will buy them an apartment, and like apartments here have gone up in price. Like the area that I'm in, like this apartment I'm in 10 years ago would have been worth about 100,000 euro. Now to buy this, you're talking four and a half hundred thousand. And it's just like, how are people supposed to afford the basics of having of getting on the property ladder? So there's a lot of very frustrating elements of living here for most people. So yeah, that's fucking the way she goes by. Jamie Ryan, I'm sure the staff in Copyright were just happy she didn't shite on the products. Man, Jamie. Let me see. Let me see. Dr. David, the stretched twig of peace is at melting point. It really is, man. Like, I don't feel that Sweden entering NATO or Finland. Like, I think Putin made a comment. He was like, "Well, yeah, if I don't know why Finland joined NATO, because we didn't have any problems with Finland." And I know that Finland have always been. Um, I think there's a massive, like, a whole load of artillery set up on the border against Russia, because they haven't forgotten the wars that they did have with Russia in the past. Um, but I don't know. I mean, like, I look at it. If you got NATO there who are armed with destroyers, aircraft carriers, ballistic missiles, attack helicopters, tanks, well armed troops from all different nations, and there's not going to be, if war breaks out, there's one guarantee that a shitload of people are going to be displaced, and a shitload of servicemen from both sides of the conflict are going to be killed unnecessarily. And for me personally, from a humanitarian point of view, there's no victory in that. Like, there's the only people who are going to win are those fucking companies who are making the weapons. But for anyone else, there's no need for it. It's a fucking it's no, there's no adults in the room stepping in going like, let's just de-escalate this before it does break out. And it's already causing food shortages, and I don't know, man. And I don't know, it's not good. Alan S says Malmo is a no-go zone from what I've heard. There are parts of, like, okay, the thing is that there are parts of cities in Sweden that do have there's parts of cities that are they stick to their own, and they have, they have their reasons to be. They're just they're kind of like enclaves. They have their way of operating, and I think in many ways Sweden is quite, the government is does micromanage things a bit over here. Like they want everything is done through your social security number, and you know a lot of these people are coming from areas where they have like totalitarian governments. When they come here, they're like, we don't want you to know our business. It's a clash of cultures. RB, I've heard Ukrainian women being hassled by other migrants that at the hostels were essentially dens for assault. I mean, objectively speaking, I could imagine, yeah, it's going on. You know, so and that's just being objective. Whereas there are people who jump on that opinion and be like, "How dare you?" I don't know why they've got to have such brittle opinions. I don't know who these fucking ages have been conditioned by to be so fucking biased. They're just they're fucking. I find that all these people are so focused on race, usually middle class white people that don't hang around, don't have any personal friends who are from other ethnicities. Like and because I mean, no one would want to hang out with them. They're fucking dicks. They'd probably patronize people to the point of they're like, these people are fucking weird. They wouldn't have the capability of just meeting someone one on one, and that's a broad fucking brushstroke, but from what I would gather, would you want to be hanging out with someone who's basically treating you as if you're there, like, look, this is my friend, he's from Zimbabwe, look at me, I have black friends, you know what I mean? You'd be just like, you're fucking weird, man. What you want from me? um RB, actually, Martin, what was your take on the Champions League final scenes? Don't know what was going on there, man, but I know that the French police are quite adept at beating up their own citizens, so they'd probably enjoy having a crack at some scousers. So I don't really know. I was so fucking sickened by the loss. I remember I was watching the pubs. I turned it off to fuck. I was, two L's in 1 week. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Housing inflation is fucked everywhere, says Dylan Edwards. Yeah, it is. It really is. There's but it's all by design. It's like, if you push up the price of housing, then you're going to have to go to the bank, and the more people that go to the banks means the more people are in debt to the banks. And ultimately, I can't understand how the banks and these holding companies are allowed to run rampant like this. And you see, knowledge is power, and people don't fucking. You see, if it's another nation, right? If you got a nation state, okay, let's look at Russia, for example, of how people in the West view Russia with contempt, and they're like, "Oh, fuck the Russians." They know Russia is, it's a state that has a flag, whereas like no one knows who Larry Fink is from BlackRock or State Street or Berkshire Hathaway or Vanguard or Citadel. They don't know who these people are. They don't know who the CEO is or the people underneath them or underneath them. It's like we're dealing with faceless corporations that and banks like fucking JP Morgan and Goldman and Sachs. The average person on the street can't see this. Like, it's like when in Ireland, for example, when we had the water meter march in 2014, it was €100 that was to be taken annually from their bank account. They could see that, and they could measure that by how much that was going to cost them, but they can't see the money that the bondholders who were bailed out had taken from gambling our future away. But you can see the breakdown in the fact that they're closing down emergency rooms, and the infrastructure is falling apart, and the fact that you can't get a fucking train that goes from Dublin to Mayo. Well, you can, but like they're expensive, and there's only if I want to get a train to I can't get a train to my hometown. I've got to go to Ballyhornis or Westport. There's no like local bus services that run regularly if you want to go from town to town. You need a car. There's like, and it's just getting worse and worse. And then so people are like, well, there's no work for us, so we have to emigrate. So it's but €100, yeah, that's enough to get people to fucking walk in a march of 200,000 people through Dublin. CM Fox, let's have it right. Inflation hasn't fucked anymore. Hasn't fucked anymore. It's not a natural occurrence. Inflation is caused by government policies, and these governments, none of them. I mean, give me one government that actually cares about the welfare of its people. Name one. Can anyone name one that is making the lives of the people better? Because I can't. I can't think of any Western nation that has. And you've got for that fucking Boris Johnson clown man who's given Ukraine long range ballistics. Like it's almost like they're fucking trying to get us into a world war, and that's never going to be. That's not going to benefit us, man. Fuck that shit. Um, Dylan Edwards, 2 years ago, it came out that some banks over here were charging dead people and other sketchy shit like that. Cooked as, yeah, of course they are, man. They're like they are morally bankrupt. Their deceit knows no bounds. It's like this fucking shit that's going on now in with this guy Goldston from ABC. He was a guy who made a cover story for Epstein and Epstein's Island, and he's basically been brought in by the January 6th committee to produce this bullshit fucking kangaroo court to try and deflect from the disastrous policies of the Biden administration. If you want my opinion, from what I see, I reckon the feds were involved in that January 6th thing. Um, it was to stoke up and divide the nation of America. One woman was fucking shot and killed, but no one gave a fuck about her because she was on the opposite side. She was fucking murdered. Ashley Babbitt. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. They shot a woman in the throat. She died. No one gave a fuck. Her name wasn't even mentioned. And you'll have all these fucking retards on Twitter saying, "Oh, she was a fucking QAnon Trump fan." It doesn't fucking matter, man. These people feel since 2008, since the banks ripped them off, you've got corrupt fucking politicians everywhere. Of course they're going to gravitate to some fucking kooky shit on the internet because they feel like there's no one's representing them. But yeah, as Alan S said, the Hegelian dialect is there. Like what we need more than ever is open fucking honest discussion, and we need to basically have polite, civilized discussion about everything that you're not allowed to speak to. The reason why you get into trouble for talking about these things is because they don't want people waking the fuck up and taking the power back. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a better life for yourself and your kids and the community that you live in. And if I'm wrong for saying that, fine. If that's what people think, if it's an unpopular opinion, but just if an opinion is unpopular, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Hey, come a lot. What's your opinion on the Philippines electing son of a dictator as president? Is that Duterte's son? Is it? I don't know so much about Duerte, man. I think he's probably a bit fucking mad. It doesn't sound good though, does it? Do you know what I mean? Cadence Levesque, gas has hit over 2.10 per litre and the cost of living is higher than ever in parts of Canada. They will keep pushing it. People keep lining up clearly. Yeah, they will. But like the thing is, mass civil non-compliance is the only answer. You've just got to be like, we are the ones who are funding your fucking opulent lifestyles. And then when people just go, no, it's a very simple thing. You can just say, no, I'm not being part of it. If everybody stopped working, just everyone went on strike, like, no, country's closing down. We're not closing, we're not going back to work. We're not going to do anything until you rectify this. You've been elected to fix this. You're not doing that. And therefore, we're not doing our job either. It's simple. You just go, no, not paying for that, not working there, not doing it. Everyone just wakes up. But the media has half the people believing the fucking spin and the bullshit coming from these parasites that there's no way of reaching people. It's like there's a large chunk of the general society, general population that believe everything. They're conditioned since school to believe what the teacher's saying. And it's only when you become an adult yourself and you think back to your teachers, you're like, were they particularly bright? Were they, did they teach you the power of discernment, how to read between the lines, how to listen to what's not being said? Because I don't really remember that much of that. Like your job is, your job as a parent is to teach your children about what to expect when they go out into the world alone, what scams to look out for, how to protect themselves. And your job as a teacher is when those children are under your control or your guidance, that you are doing your part as part of your community to have conscientious, well-informed citizens who are able to make a better difference in the world around them. And that's it. You want to teach your you want the kids in your community to be respectful and as to say, mama didn't raise no fool, that kind of vibe. Let me see. RB says petrol's well over €2 in Ireland now. Oh, fucking hell, man. Highest cost of living in 38 years. It's all by design. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just, it feels like they're just trying to rip off as much money as they possibly can before the big depression comes. That's how it feels. Alan S. And they'll get away with it because no one knows who to blame. Who do you blame? Like Biden, I don't believe, like, Biden is a fucking fossil of a man. He cognitively doesn't know what the hell he's on about. He's been put there in place, and the parallels of it are very akin to Boris Yeltsin at the end of the fall of the Soviet Union. The guy is just he's a figurehead, and I can't remember who it was that said it, but whoever's in control is the person who's writing the text for Biden's auto cue. Alan S. Mass formation phenomenon will unfortunately always create majority compliant NPCs. I feel bad for these fucking NPCs, for want of a better word, because they just don't know what the fuck's going on, man. They're like, they think they're informed because they'll watch BBC or RTE or like Devolt or Euronews, and they think, oh well, I know what's going on in the world. No, you're basically you're seeing what's in the picture, but not what's outside the frame. And like, the only way you'll do that is if you have the interest, and you have to ask. Like, it can be a lonely place when you're like on that pursuit of veritas, when you want to find out what's going on. It's a lonely world to live in, especially when the majority of people around you think you're fucking crazy, and they're like, oh, here we are with another one of those conspiracy theories. But I tell you one thing, I'm getting pretty fucking sick of being right a lot of the time. Well, I'm not actually. I'm being validated. CM Fox says, I'm not going to eat insects. I'm not going to drive a plug-in electricity noddy car because I'm not a pussy. I didn't even listen to my parents most of the time, so why would I listen to politicians? Fair enough. I mean, we go back to the processing of how much resources go into building one lithium battery. It's insane. Like the mining, the building process of it, and then where do these batteries go? How do you dispose of them? They are NPCs. They can't unplug from the matrix. I mean, I think there's going to be, I don't know. There's either going to go one or two ways. Humanity is going to split into two, or maybe even three. But it's definitely between those who want to be informed and those who are happy enough just to be fed comforting lies. There's good. I mean, if you go onto Reddit, man, for example, it's just like the opinions are so fucking biased towards the mainstream narrative. There's absolutely no nuance there, and I think Twitter is now more bearable than it was, because I can see a lot of people are waking up on that platform. But better to be uninformed rather than misinformed. Absolutely. CM, they are MPs and NPCs that can't believe it. Awaken Sweden. We could have free energy today for at least 100 years. It's just been stopped and from being shared. Of course, you take away free energy. It's basically you're taking away someone. Can you imagine the kind of insane amounts of money these people just get. Look at like the likes of the OPEC nations, that you can build ridiculous, fantastical buildings off Bangladeshi and Philippine Indian slave labor. And then you're like, oh, come and stay at the Mirage or whatever they call the fucking the name of that hotel. Um, come and stay here. We're building the biggest the biggest fucking skyscraper in the world. I was like, yeah, but you don't even have fucking sewerage infrastructure. They have to take the trucks and fill them with shite and then drive 25 trucks a day to dispose of it. I mean, it's like you go to like Marble Arch or Knightsbridge in London, and you'll see the benefactors of the oil industry as they're driving around, not wearing the garb that they have to wear back in Saudi Arabia, but they're knocking around in suits, partying in clubs, driving around in like Maybachs and Ferraris. I was at myself and Tordov at the Cannes Film Festival there about 7 or 8 years ago, and you just the amount of like Ferraris, McLarens, Mercedes, GTRs. They've all got like Emirati number plates, and they just fly them in. It's like, I'm gonna go down the Quizette in Cannes, fucking stay in what's the fucking name of the hotel? The Maison or something. Like they stay in these beautiful hotels, driving around in Bugatti Veyrons, while the rest of us are fucking, working just to fucking keep a roof overhead and feed our kids. It's fucking crazy, man. It's like, and then they wonder why people are just become, unmotivated to fucking do anything. Reddit is ridiculously left wing. The users refuse to listen to any other point of view, says RB. Yeah, they're fucking they're brainwashed, man. Like, you see, they go to college, they're taught a load of bullshit, and then they come out thinking that they're informed, which they're not. I was going to make a point there about. Can't remember what I was going to fucking say. I had a good point to make. But I fucking can't remember. Fuck it. It'll come back to me. But there is enough technology. There's enough resources for us all to have a better world for everybody. But it's like that. Who's going to give up that kind of fucking lifestyle so everyone else can have a fairer slice of the pie? But we love and need big companies. As a sadomasochist, I love when huge companies come in, ignore employment laws, and hugely inflate house prices for people who live there. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? DD, how are you, lad? Good to see you back on this. Any crack on Hardy Books? I have been writing, so I'm gonna have to fucking start doing a bit of writing and maybe try and get a bit of a run in today as well, because I'm turning into a lazy bastard, and I've got a sore back lately as well. I've got a back like a woodlouse, man. Long old back on me. Designed for lifting and carrying blocks. Baj Mahaj, left wing, right wing, it's irrelevant. They're all on the same side. I would be classically fucking left wing. Like I would have called myself liberal for years. Like I'm a classic liberal. As in fucking liberty, the freedom of choice and expression, and like a fair crack at the whip for everybody. But like, it goes back to I think that the last shot across the bow for the likes of these fucking rich entities was the Occupy Wall Street movement, which was a bit of a fucking mishmash. And but I think if you look at it now, like, why is it like the whole, like, why is it that Pride Week went to Pride Month, and that it's like everywhere it's like pride flags? I mean, I've asked gay friends of mine, what do you think about all these companies jumping on your sexual orientation and using it as a campaign to make themselves appear more virtuous? And they're like, it's fucking annoying, it's patronizing, and it's annoying. And a lot of these people are completely at odds with the behavioral practices of these companies that change their flags to, in quote, represent them. It's patronizing, and it's annoying. And you see, the thing is, the likes of that, the championing of these minorities and whatnot. It basically it makes these companies look like they're doing something that is bringing about positive societal change, but like, it's not going to change fiscal policies. It's not going to change the fact that uh, straight, gay, bi, whatever the fuck, it's not going to change the fact that the price of inflate or the price of goods is going up, the price of their accommodation is going up, the price of petrol, everything is going up. So the fact that these companies, these very same predatory companies, just whack a rainbow flag on their corporate logo for the month on social media doesn't take away from the fact that these people are also being robbed blind. So it's just virtue signal. It's not going to get anything fucking changed. It's just, oh, look at us. Look, we're so we care about minority group. No, they don't. They don't give a fuck about anybody. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, what your race is, what your religion is, what your sexual orientation is, what your socio-economic background is. They don't care about you. The politicians don't care about you. You're on your own. And the only I think the best way of doing it is to form cooperatives and communities locally to you that you can rely on during hard times. Just have good friends who you can call on, and you can help them out. They can help you out. Cooperate, and that's what the Irish always did when they were in the States, or in, the Italians did that. And the same thing with these people who come from Iraq or Eritrea or Ethiopia, people who come to Sweden. They stay in their own communities because they know their own people, and they have ways of operating that people here in the West might not get. But like, at the end of the day, they trust each other. Their communities are tight. They've maintained what it means to be where they're from. They've maintained their religious expression, whereas the rest of us have all been fucking divided through absolute nonsense. You know what I mean? I hats off to them, because they have maintained their autonomy and their culture within the Western world. Silent learner. My hard work never pays off. Yeah, because my life is over. My career is over. My hard work never pays off. My 6 month hard work has no value. Yeah, as black pilled as that sounds, man. There are a lot of people who feel the same way. It feels like we're all on a moving train, and there's a fucking maniac at the controls, and that train track is gonna fucking run out soon, and you know it feels like we're powerless, but we're not powerless to stop this. This is the thing. Like, it's like, how do you get into TV, for example? Like, before I got into it, I was like, I don't know, how do you do it? Well, first of all, you've got to basically produce something that people can see that you're capable of. Then you got to find out, okay, I need an agent. I need to go and study something in school. You can make a positive change in your world, but you got to start small. Start with being involved in your community, get to know people. Um, if you're living rurally, start growing produce that you can change. If you can trade with people. But I think, you know we've got to there's got to be another way. And there's fucking, like, as Roger Daltrey sang in "Who Are You" by the Who, 11 hours in a tin can. There's got to be another way. Didn't get outside of home for 6 months. Still, my exam sucks. Yeah, I mean, like, you're going to qualify for a job, and then you go to college.